Hunters, it's Josh from CycleHunters.com, and today we have a 2006 Suzuki GSXR 600. And this one is in obviously the red and the black, which is a little bit off the beaten path, a little different. Most of the Gixxers that come in are typically the white and blue, or the blue and white, however you want to look at it. But basically, this one is a little bit more of a rare bird for us because you don't see a whole lot of the red and the black ones. Very clean bike, really cool bike. If you know what a Gixxer is all about, these are the race bikes for the year that they're out. The homologated race bike for that year. So this would be the base for what they turned into a race bike to race in the different series in the super sport class. And as we get into this, there are a couple little things here and there. There's like a little blemish right here. Let's see if we can see it a little better. There. A couple little right here. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot that's messed on this bike as far as blemishes. Pretty clean overall. Good looking bike. A little bit of one right there. But, and this is cool. This has the frame sliders. So if you did by chance happen to drop the bike, it helps save it from any further damage. Nice paint. This also has the Vortex cap. So, a little bit of an aftermarket deal there. A couple little aftermarket things. You know, the red windscreen. It's just a nice touch, I think. It's really cool. This also has this aftermarket GSXR seat. Another little cool thing. It's leather. Now, this also has the seat cowl. Nice and smooth. But you can remove the seat cowl and put a seat on for your passenger. You know, here's a couple little scratches and whatnot. That's easily fixed up with a little bit of touch-up paint. Not much. But overall, it's in really nice shape. The one nice thing about the Gixxers is how they feel when you sit on the bike. Here's the carbon fiber canister. Sounds really good. We're going to hear that in a little bit. I love looking at the weld marks. The quality of what people do. But anyway, these are great bikes for street bikes. They're very comfortable to ride. So if you're somebody that wants a hardcore sport bike, and we're splitting hairs here when we're talking about comfort on a sport bike, because it is not really something that is synonymous with a sport bike being comfort, because these things are very aggressive. You see a little bit right in here. Tiniest little buff, little mark there. But yeah, so comfort wise, you know, as far as sport bikes go, the Suzuki's probably one of the more comfortable sport bikes out there. You can see right there, a little bit right there. So if you're getting on any of these for the first time, you tend to sit in the bike versus sitting on top of it. It feels a little bit more intuitive, a little more comfortable than some of its counterparts. A little bit right there. A little bit there. Bar ends are good. So again, you know, comfort on a sport bike, boy, that's a real relative term, because, you know, what would be comfortable for some people, it's not going to be for others. But again, we're talking about a sport bike. So if it's something that you're looking to get into and you want a more comfortable sport bike, super sport, absolutely the Suzukis are right up there. In my opinion, it's basically those and the Hondas. And you're kind of splitting hairs when it comes down to it. But the Suzuki, you sit in a little bit more. You're not sitting necessarily on top of it, where the rear feels more like it's higher than your hands or your wrists. Whereas this feels a little bit more neutral when you sit in it. So it's a little bit more intuitive. And again, we're splitting hairs here, talking about comfort for a sport bike. A little bit of one right there. And this is a Pooch windscreen, the Gixxer windscreen. Alrighty, so let's see here. 21,820 miles on this bike. So not a ton for an 06. Let's see, left front turn signal here. And it's nice, it's up high on the mirror stalk. Now, these are really cool. I always like this about the Suzukis, that they integrated the turn signals within the fairing. Now, obviously, they're split apart, which is really what they're supposed to be. They're not integrated into the taillight, but it is integrated into the bodywork, so it's nice and clean. Love that look. This is right rear, and then right front. These also have the little driving lights right there. Parking lights, marker lights, whatever you want to call them. Controls are pretty simple. You know, your hazard, your left, right, your horn, your high and low beam. So you can hit your hazards. So it'll come on right there. And I'm pretty sure you have to turn the bike on for the high beam and low beam. On the right side, your on-off, your starter. Let's see, we need to be in neutral. There we go. So let's see what this baby sounds like. Oh, I gotta pull the clutch in. All right, here we go. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds nasty. Just like what you would expect a Gixxer to sound like, that's for sure. Oh, goodness. That's got a deep, deep guttural sound to it. And then when you give it a rip. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She's got some attitude. That sounds awesome. All right, so let's see here. High beam, low beam. High beam, low beam. Boy, that sounds good. Sounds good. Nice and guttural, deep tone. You can kind of tell because of the way that can, or the pipe that goes into the can is. It's kind of flaring towards the end, so it's going to have that extra deepness to it. That's really cool sounding. Great sounding bike. Oh, yeah. But anyway, this is an everyday bike. For anybody that rides sport bikes, you're going to want to ride a sport bike. You know what you're doing. You know what you're getting into. You know, it's not a cruiser. It's not a bike you just jump on and relax on. You're very focused. You're canted forward. You're in an aggressive stance when you're sitting on these. So, you know, this is what you signed up for when you're buying one of these. And that's why you want to ride them. And the big thing is, you know, when you wake up, you get ready to go to work and you go for a ride, and that greets you in the morning, you can't wait to go ride. That puts a smile on your face. I got one on my face right now. Not to mention, a red bike is very high on my list. Very, very high on my list. These have new tread on here. New tires. You can see really good meaty tread. It's got some grips, some new grips. Very straightforward bike. So this is a bike, literally, you jump on it and you go around up and down the twisties, around a mountain, wherever you want to go for a ride. You know, these are extremely capable bikes. And like we talk about amongst ourselves here quite often, that most of us regular everyday riders are never going to use the full potential that these are capable of. Which, it's sort of like having a Ferrari and you're just driving it around town and styling it. Maybe getting on it here and there and taking a couple curves. But, you know, unless you're actually going to the track and to a track day and you have all your gear on, you're full geared up, you're not going to be doing that kind of stuff, dragging knee around corners. But this bike is capable of all that. Really, it is. Now, every one of our bikes has a 48-point checklist that we go over. We put a battery tender lead on it. Right here is the one on this one, so that you can plug it in, charge up your battery overnight, make sure that she's ready to go in the morning when you fire it up. Oil and filter are basic things for us, so we are trying to make sure that when you get this bike from us, it is as close to 100% as we can make it. And this one's looking really, really good. Sounds great, serviced up, ready to go. So, if you are digging the 2006 Suzuki GSXR 600, give us a call at 717-273-1809. You can see the full list of inventory at www.cyclehunters.com. You can email us at cyclehunters@gmail.com. We have aftermarket warranties available, some financing options available. We can deliver bikes, ship them. It just boils down to what is it that we need to do in order to accommodate you. So this gorgeous Gixxer can greet you when you open up the door to your garage and put a smile on your face every day. Gorgeous bike. Alrighty. Well, until the next bike, happy riding.